Hi guys, I'm Sarah Oakler, author of 20 Boy Summer and Fixing Delilah, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the process of becoming a writer and sort of what my day-to-day life as an author is like. I was always a writer. I mean, ever since I was a little kid and my parents would read stories to me, I would think, wow, I want to do that. I want to tell those stories. I want to make, those characters do different things in the way that I want them to be. And I think that's one of my favorite things about being a writer is that, all the horrible stuff that happens in high school, at home, with friends, everything, you get to kind of rewrite it the way you want to. And you get to create stories and characters that do things in the world that, the way that you want it to be, whatever that world is, whether it's a fantasy world or you're writing a contemporary story or a romance or a futuristic tale, anything. You get to do what you want to do with it, and that's what I've always loved about stories in general, and just being able to tell them. I didn't know that I didn't really know how to be a writer, I guess I should say it that way. I always wanted to tell stories, but I didn't know, how does someone become a writer? How do you even go about getting a book published or even to start writing a book? And I kind of just followed it more of a traditional path, like when you're younger, a lot of times people will tell you, don't become a writer or an artist, you won't make any money. For one thing, that's not true, but also that's not what it's all about. You need to follow your heart, truly. I mean, you need to pay your bills, but you need to do what's in your heart to do. And if that's to be a writer, you just have to find a way to make it happen. But I didn't realize that back then. So I kind of went on the traditional path, and all through middle school and high school, I just took the classes I was supposed to take, and then by the time I got to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew was that I was writing volumes of journals and, long stories that I would just write for my friends, and I didn't really know what to do with that though. So I majored in communication in college, where there was a lot of writing, but it wasn't so much the creative writing that I do now. It was more like marketing and advertising and, all kinds of corporate things that, served me well. It definitely got me good jobs after college, but they were kind of like office space, cubicle jobs that, as much as I enjoyed them and I tried to learn from every experience, it wasn't where my heart was, and I was still longing to figure out a way to write and to make a living writing. And I realized that you don't have to study writing in college to become a writer, or even in high school. You just have to do a lot of it. And you do have to learn those rules that probably all of your teachers are drilling into you about sentence structure and grammar and spelling and all the different rules of the English language. But the cool thing is that once you learn those rules, you can totally do what you want. You can bend them, you can break them. You just have to know how to use them so that you can figure that out for yourself and be more creative in your writing. So there's not like a set path to becoming a writer. But I think if you do decide to go to college, I mean, any classes will help you, any writing classes, any English or literature classes where you're reading a lot, and generally in college, I mean, if you think you have homework now, wow, I mean, reading and writing is pretty much all you do in college, other than maybe having a little fun, hopefully, too. But whatever path you choose educationally, the main thing for becoming a writer is constantly reading and constantly writing. And I don't mean just reading things that you enjoy. Like if Twilight's your favorite book, go read something you would never read. Go read a nonfiction book, like a biography of someone, or a different kind of fantasy or a romance or just something totally different. Because it's the most important thing is to just constantly expose yourself to different ideas, and that helps you generate ideas for your own writing. A lot of people ask, where do writers get their ideas? And as much as I wish there was like an idea factory or like a membership club that you pay like 20 bucks a month and get stuff in the mail, it doesn't work that way. But you see ideas everywhere, all around you in real life. And even for people writing, fantasy books, magic books, ghost books, they're rooted in real life, in the relationships that we've all experienced, the heartbreak, death, sadness, sickness, joy, happiness, birth, all of those things that we've seen in our own family and friends. That is really the root of the stories, and that's what people connect with, even in movies too. There's a lot of different kinds of creative writers that, I happen to write books, but there are screenwriters for movies and television, and all of your favorite shows that you catch on TV. Writers are involved in creating those stories and figuring out the best way to tell them. So reading and writing and just exposing yourself to those ideas. I tend to get a lot of ideas from the newspaper and online sources and news. Like I'll see something about a teenager, that's primarily what I write about. I'll see something about a teenager and I'll think, what if? And that's a big question to ask yourself if you're a writer. What if? What if the world ended next week? What if we found out there wasn't enough water or food? What if there's a zombie apocalypse? What if there's a Barbie apocalypse? I mean, there's just a million different things that you could think of, whether you're writing about, that's called dystopian fiction, kind of a futuristic tale, or a realistic tale about, some serious issues that you guys face day to day in your families or in school or with your friends. It's just important to always be thinking about those ideas and asking yourself, what if? How can you push your characters further? How can you make this a better story? How can it reach more people? So I think that's really kind of what being a writer is all about. As far as the day-to-day, writing, that's what I do day to day. I sit at my desk and I write, and I go on Facebook and Twitter, and I spend a lot of time doing stuff I shouldn't online, which I'm trying not to do so much anymore because primarily it's a lot of writing. Now I'm fortunate enough that I get to write from home. I totally work for myself. I write full time. So that means I'm also running a business. So it's not just the writing, there's a lot of administration, making sure the bills are paid, making sure I'm tracking my tax expenses, healthcare, health insurance, all that stuff. So, that's also good, a money management skill as far as education to become a writer. That's a good one. Because with writing, you don't get paid every week or every other week like some other regular jobs. You might only get paid twice a year, and so you have to figure out how to make that last. But as much as it's challenging, I love writing. For me, that was my dream. I didn't know how to verbalize it until I was, 10 years out of college, when I finally wrote and sold my first novel. But I always knew in the back of my head that that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I was a total daydreamer, always doodling and writing stories, and I had to find a way to make that happen. So if any of you feel that way, if you are, feeling pulled to tell stories and become a writer, definitely stick with it and don't let anyone ever talk you out of it. It is hard and it's a long road sometimes, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Yesterday I went for a hike in the middle of the day. Today I slept late, and now I get to stay up late working on my book. I love it, and if you are a writer, then you know what I'm talking about. When you get in that zone and you're creating something and it's there and it's working, and imagine getting paid to do that, getting paid to do what you love. So definitely stick with it, keep writing, keep reading. I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope that you're having a great summer too. Thanks again for having me today. Good luck, everyone. Bye!